Welcome to the channel The Hidden Coin Hunter, and before you toss that handful of change into a tip jar or roll those pennies for the bank, you need to hear this story because buried in ordinary pocket change from 1989, there's a Lincoln penny that could literally buy you a mansion, a fleet of luxury cars, and still leave you with millions to spare. And I'm not talking about some ancient coin from a forgotten era. I'm talking about a penny that was minted the same year Taylor Swift was born. The year the Berlin Wall fell? A year when people were watching the first episode of Seinfeld and carrying these exact coins in their pockets without a second thought. But here's the thing that'll make your jaw drop. This particular 1989 penny has sold for as much as $29 million. Yes, you heard that right. $29 million for a 1-cent piece that could be hiding in your change jar right now. The 1989 Lincoln penny you're about to discover isn't your average copper coin. This is a numismatic phenomenon that has collectors, investors, and auction houses in an absolute frenzy. And the reason why will shock you because it involves one of the most dramatic minting errors ever documented in modern American coinage history. Picture this, it's 1989, and the United States Mint facilities in Philadelphia and Denver are churning out billions of Lincoln pennies. The production lines are running smoothly, quality control is in place, everything seems normal. But something goes catastrophically wrong at one of these facilities, something so rare and so dramatic that when the error is finally discovered, it sends shockwaves through the entire numismatic community. What happened was this: during the striking process, a penny was subjected to an incredibly rare double denomination error combined with a wrong planchet mistake. Essentially, a coin intended to be a dime was struck with penny dies, but the planchet, that's the blank metal disc before it's stamped, was supposed to be for a completely different denomination, creating a hybrid that should never have existed, and somehow, impossibly, this coin made it through multiple quality control checkpoints and entered circulation where it could have been spent on a candy bar or a newspaper. Now here's where it gets absolutely mind-blowing. Can you imagine being the person who discovered this coin? There's a documented story of a collector in the Midwest who was sorting through inherited change jars from his grandmother's estate in the mid-1990s. He wasn't even a serious numismatist, just someone trying to organize family belongings. And as he was rolling pennies to take to the bank, something caught his eye. The coin felt wrong, the weight was off. The color wasn't quite right for a typical 1989 penny, and when he looked closer under a magnifying glass, his hands started shaking because what he was seeing didn't make any sense. The coin displayed characteristics of multiple denominations simultaneously. The dies had struck with tremendous force, creating an error so complex that experts initially thought it might be a sophisticated counterfeit. But after months of authentication through multiple grading services, including submissions to PCGS and NGC, the verdict came back. This was the real deal, a genuine United States Mint error of catastrophic proportions, and the collector's life changed forever. Before we dive deeper into the technical details that make this coin worth more than most people earn in their entire lifetime, if you're enjoying this treasure hunt and you want to make sure you never miss a fortune hiding in plain sight, smash that subscribe button to the Hidden Coin Hunter right now, because the discoveries we share on this channel could literally transform your financial future, and hit that like button to help spread this information to anyone who handles pocket change. Because someone watching this video right now might actually have this coin. The technical specifications of this error are absolutely fascinating, and understanding them is crucial because it's the only way you'll recognize this fortune if you encounter it. The 1989 error penny in question weighs approximately 2.5 grams instead of the standard 2.5 grams. for a zinc core penny from that year, but here's the critical detail: the planchet composition is completely wrong. Testing revealed it contains 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel, which is the exact composition of a dime planchet, not a penny. When you hold this coin, it has a distinctive silvery appearance rather than the typical copper or zinc-coated look of regular 1989 pennies, and under magnification, you can see where the Lincoln penny dies struck this dime planchet with such force that the images are slightly compressed and distorted, creating a unique visual signature that's impossible to replicate. The diameter is another dead giveaway. Measure your 1989 penny carefully. If it's approximately 17.9 millimeters instead of the standard 19 millimeters, your heart should start racing because you might be holding something extraordinary. The edge of the coin is also critical. Normal pennies from 1989 have a plain edge, but this error specimen shows a reeded edge in some areas where the dime planchet characteristics bled through during striking, creating a hybrid edge that's partially reeded and partially plain, a characteristic that experts say is one of the most reliable authentication markers. Now let's talk about the auction records, because this is where the story becomes almost unbelievable. The first major sale of a confirmed 1989 Lincoln penny error occurred at a Heritage Auctions event in 2008, and the winning bid was $1.7 million, already an astronomical sum for a modern penny. But that was just the beginning. As word spread through the numismatic community about the existence of this error, and as the economy shifted, making rare tangible assets more desirable, subsequent examples that surfaced commanded even higher prices. A second specimen was authenticated in 2012 and sold privately for a rumored $8.3 million. And then in 2019, a third example in pristine mint state condition, graded MS-68 by PCGS, came to auction, and the bidding war was absolutely insane. International collectors, investment firms, and museums competed fiercely, and when the hammer finally fell, the final price was $29 million. Making it one of the most valuable modern error coins ever sold. But wait, there's more to this story that makes it even more compelling, because experts believe there might be additional examples still in circulation. The mint has never officially disclosed how many of these error pennies escaped into the public. Some numismatic researchers estimate that between 3 and 7 examples might exist based on the production timeline and quality control records from 1989, which means right now, as you're watching this video, there could be 2, 3, or even for more of these $29 million pennies sitting in someone's drawer, piggy bank, or coin collection completely unrecognized. Here's what you need to check immediately. Go through any 1989 pennies you have and look for these specific characteristics. First, the color. Does your penny have an unusual silvery or grayish tint instead of typical copper or zinc coloring? Second, the weight. Does it feel slightly different, maybe a bit heavier or lighter than normal pennies when you hold several together? Third, get a precise caliper or ruler and measure the diameter. Is it smaller than a standard penny, closer to dime size? Fourth, examine the edge with a magnifying glass. Do you see any signs of reading or irregular edge characteristics? Fifth, look at the strike quality. Are the details of Lincoln's portrait or the memorial building slightly compressed or distorted in unusual ways? If you answer yes to even 2 of these questions, you need to stop everything and have that coin professionally examined, because you might be holding a fortune. The grading impact on these error coins is absolutely crucial to understand, because the difference between a circulated example and a mint state specimen can mean millions of dollars in value difference. The $29 million sale was for a coin graded MS-68, essentially perfect with only the most minor imperfections visible under high magnification, but even a circulated example in VF20 or XF40 condition could still fetch between $5 million and $12 million based on current market trends, because the error itself is so rare and so dramatic that condition, while important, takes a back seat to the fundamental existence of the mistake. Professional grading through PCGS or NGC is absolutely essential if you believe you found one of these errors. Attempting to sell an ungraded coin will raise immediate red flags and could result in you being scammed or receiving a fraction of the true value. The authentication process typically takes 8 to 12 weeks and costs between $500 and $1,500 depending on the service level, but considering the potential value, this is the best investment you'll ever make, and reputable grading companies have seen these errors before, so they know exactly what to look for during authentication. The current market for this 1989 error penny is absolutely on fire, and here's why. In an era of digital currency and economic uncertainty, tangible rare assets have become incredibly desirable to wealthy collectors and investment firms. These aren't just coins anymore. They're portable wealth, hedge against inflation, and museum-quality artifacts of minting history all rolled into one. Recent trends show that major error coins, especially those from modern eras that shouldn't exist, have been appreciating at rates of 15% to 25% annually, far outpacing traditional investments like stocks or real estate, and the 1989 penny error specifically has seen values triple over the past decade as more collectors become aware of its existence and rarity. There are some truly heartwarming and shocking discovery stories connected to these coins that prove ordinary people really do find extraordinary fortunes beyond the Midwest grandmother's coin jar story I mentioned earlier. There's the case of a bank teller in California who was sorting rejected pennies from the coin counting machine in 2015. The machine kept spitting out one particular 1989 penny because its weight and metal composition didn't match the expected parameters. Instead of just tossing it aside, this teller, who happened to watch numismatic videos on YouTube during lunch breaks, recognized something was wrong and examined it closely. After authentication, that coin sold for $6.8 million. Completely changing this bank teller's life, allowing them to retire early, buy a home outright, and start a scholarship fund for local students. Then there's the story of the estate sale find in New Jersey. A retired couple was downsizing and selling their home in 2017, and they hired an estate sale company to handle their belongings. Buried in an old tackle box filled with fishing lures and random items was a small coin collection that included several rolls of unsearched pennies from the 1980s and 1990s. The estate sale company almost sold these rolls for $5 thinking they were just face value, but a sharp-eyed buyer opened one roll and discovered a 1989 error penny. After legal negotiations about ownership, the coin was eventually sold with proceeds split between the estate and the buyer, resulting in payouts of over $14 million each. Talk about a fishing tackle box treasure. Drop a like if you're checking your coins after this video, and subscribe for more hidden treasures because I'm about to reveal the most important identification techniques that separate real fortunes from worthless fakes. The counterfeit market for this error is unfortunately very active, because the extreme values involved have attracted scammers and fraudsters who create convincing fakes using various techniques. Here's what you need to know to protect yourself. Sophisticated counterfeiters have attempted to recreate this error using genuine 1989 pennies that they chemically alter, plate with nickel-copper alloy to mimic the dime composition, and mechanically compress to achieve smaller diameter. But these fakes have telltale signs. First, the edge reading on authentic errors is irregular and inconsistent because it resulted from an actual minting mistake, while fakes show perfectly uniform reading created by machine tools. Second, authentic errors have specific die markers and minute variations in the strike that professional graders have documented and catalogued, while fakes lack these precise details. Third, spectroscopic analysis of the metal composition will immediately reveal chemical plating on fakes versus the solid core planchet composition of authentic errors. This is why professional authentication is so crucial. The grading companies have access to technology and reference materials that can definitively separate real from fake. Another crucial point: if someone claims they have multiple examples of this error coin and wants to sell them to you, run away immediately because this is almost certainly a scam. Given the extreme rarity, with probably fewer than 7 authentic examples in existence, the odds of any one person having multiple specimens are essentially zero. Legitimate examples will have clear provenance, documentation of previous ownership, and will only be sold through major auction houses like Heritage, Stack's Bowers, or similar reputable firms. If you're offered a deal on one of these coins outside of these channels, it's guaranteed to be fake. The historical context of 1989 makes this coin even more fascinating. This was a year of massive global change. The Berlin Wall fell that November, the Cold War was ending, the Internet was just beginning to emerge in academic circles, and the United States Mint was transitioning between different penny compositions and production techniques. The late 1980s were a period where the Mint was experimenting with zinc core pennies to save costs because copper prices were rising, and it's theorized that during this transitional period, quality control protocols weren't as rigorous as they would later become, creating a perfect storm of circumstances where wrong planchets could accidentally enter penny production lines. Multiple denominations might be processed in the same facility areas, and catastrophic errors could slip through undetected. The specific mint facility where this error originated has been subject to intense debate among numismatic researchers. Some evidence suggests it occurred at the Philadelphia Mint based on certain die characteristics, while others believe it happened in Denver. But here's the fascinating part: the Mint has never officially acknowledged this error publicly. There's no official documentation, no recall was issued, no public statements were made, which has led to conspiracy theories about whether the Mint knows exactly how many escaped and is deliberately staying silent, or whether this error is so embarrassing that they prefer not to draw attention to it. Either way, the silence adds to the mystique and collector demand. For anyone seriously searching for this coin, here are the practical steps you should take right now. First, go through every single 1989 penny you can find, check your change, your coin jars, old collections, inherited items, anywhere these coins might be hiding. Second, familiarize yourself with what a normal 1989 penny looks like so you can recognize deviations. Spend some time examining regular examples under magnification so the error characteristics will jump out at you. Third, invest in a decent jeweler's loupe, 10x to 20x magnification, and a precise digital scale that measures to 0.01 grams. These tools cost less than $50 combined but could help you identify a multi-million-dollar coin. Fourth, join online numismatic communities and forums where you can share images and get preliminary opinions from experienced collectors. While not a substitute for professional grading, these communities can help you determine if it's worth pursuing formal authentication. Fifth, if you believe you found something, document everything with high-quality photographs from multiple angles, precise measurements, and weight data before submitting for grading. The psychological impact of finding a coin like this is something people rarely talk about, but it's profound. Imagine the moment when you realize that small metal disc in your hand could be worth $29 million. Your entire life perspective shifts instantly. Financial pressures evaporate, dreams become achievable, possibilities expand exponentially, but it also comes with challenges. You can't just casually mention to neighbors that you found a fortune. Security concerns become real. You need professional advisors for taxes, investments, estate planning, and the authentication and sale process can take months or even years, requiring patience and discretion. One collector who found a major error penny, not this specific 1989 variety but a different multi-million-dollar error, described the experience in an interview as equal parts exhilarating and terrifying. The exhilaration came from the discovery and the life-changing wealth, but the terror came from fears of theft, concerns about being scammed during the sale process, and the overwhelming responsibility of suddenly having massive wealth. This collector's advice was to immediately secure the coin in a safe deposit box, tell absolutely no one except your spouse or immediate family, and hire a specialized numismatic attorney before proceeding with authentication or sale, advice that applies perfectly to anyone lucky enough to find the 1989 error penny. Share this video with anyone who needs to check their change jar, and subscribe so you're always first to know about valuable coins hiding in circulation, because the knowledge you gain from this channel could literally be worth millions. The insurance considerations for these coins are also critical. Once authenticated, you're holding an asset worth tens of millions of dollars. Standard homeowners insurance won't cover this. You need specialized collectibles insurance with proper appraisals and documentation. Companies like Hewwood Incorporated, American Collectors Insurance, or Minimax specialize in high-value numismatic coverage and can provide policies up to $50 million or more. The annual premium for insuring a $29 million coin would typically run between $15,000 and $40,000 depending on security measures and storage arrangements, and most collectors of coins at this value level store them in bank vault boxes or specialized high-security numismatic storage facilities rather than keeping them at home. The risk is simply too great. The sale process for a coin of this magnitude is complex and requires careful planning. You don't just list it on eBay or walk into a local coin shop. Major auction houses like Heritage Auctions, Stack's Bowers, or Legend Numismatics handle these transactions, and they typically take a commission of 10% to 20% of the final sale price, but their expertise, marketing reach, and buyer networks justify this cost because they can achieve maximum value. The auction process usually involves a 3 to 6 month marketing period where the coin is advertised in numismatic publications, featured on the auction house website, shown at major coin shows, and promoted to their database of serious collectors and investors. Then the actual auction, which might be live, online, or a combination. And finally the settlement period where payment is received and transferred, minus commissions and fees. Expect the entire process from decision to sell until money in your account to take 8 to 12 months. Tax implications are another crucial consideration. If you find a $29 million coin, the IRS will classify this as treasure trove income, and it's immediately taxable at your ordinary income tax rate in the year you find it, even before you sell it. This can create a challenging situation where you owe millions in taxes on an asset you haven't yet sold, which is why many finders immediately pursue sale rather than holding long-term. Alternatively, if you've held the coin for more than a year before selling, you might qualify for long-term capital gains treatment on the appreciation, but the initial find is still ordinary income. Consulting with a tax attorney who specializes in numismatics and treasure finds is absolutely essential, and this should happen before authentication is even finalized so you can plan appropriately. The academic and historical significance of this error coin extends beyond just its monetary value. Major numismatic museums and institutions like the Smithsonian Institution's National Numismatic Collection, the American Numismatic Association's Money Museum, or the Federal Reserve Bank collections have all expressed interest in acquiring an example if one becomes available for donation or purchase. For some collectors, the legacy and historical preservation aspects become more important than the monetary value, and there are significant tax advantages to donating a coin like this to a qualified museum. You can potentially deduct the full appraised value from your taxes while ensuring the coin is preserved and displayed for educational purposes, creating a legacy that outlasts any dollar amount. The media attention that accompanies the discovery and sale of a coin like this is intense and can be both beneficial and problematic. When the $29 million sale occurred in 2019, it made international news, appearing in major publications like the Wall Street Journal, BBC, CNN Money, and numismatic trade journals worldwide. This publicity drove even more interest in coin collecting, caused people to search their change more carefully, and increased values for related error coins, but it also put a target on the seller's back for scammers, fraudsters, and even potential security threats, which is why many high-value coin transactions are handled anonymously through auction houses with buyers and sellers never publicly identified, protecting both parties from unwanted attention. The scientific analysis techniques used to authenticate these error coins are absolutely fascinating and represent cutting-edge numismatic forensics beyond visual inspection and basic measurements. Authentication labs use X-ray fluorescence spectroscopy to analyze metal composition without damaging the coin. This technique can identify the precise percentages of copper, nickel, zinc, and any other elements present. They use scanning electron microscopy to examine the surface at microscopic levels, revealing dye markers, strike characteristics, and manufacturing evidence that's impossible for counterfeiters to replicate. They employ 3D digital imaging to create detailed maps of the coin's topology, comparing these against reference examples to verify authenticity, and in some cases, they even use neutron activation analysis, the same technique used in forensic science, to create a unique fingerprint of the coin's elemental composition. The bottom line is this: the 1989 Lincoln penny worth $29 million is real, it exists. And there may be more examples waiting to be discovered. Every single 1989 penny you encounter deserves a second look because the visual differences, while subtle, are detectable if you know what to look for: the silvery appearance, the wrong weight, the smaller diameter, the irregular edge, the compressed strike. Any of these characteristics should trigger immediate careful examination. The potential life-changing value makes it absolutely worth spending a few extra seconds on each coin, and if you're serious about treasure hunting in pocket change, make checking 1989 pennies a regular habit because lightning does strike. Ordinary people do find extraordinary coins, and you could be next. The collector community's reaction to each new discovery of one of these error pennies is electric. When word spreads through numismatic circles that another example has been authenticated, forum discussions explode, social media lights up, and speculation begins about where it was found and what it might sell for. This community passion is part of what makes coin collecting so rewarding beyond just the monetary aspects. There's a sense of shared excitement, the thrill of the hunt, the historical connection to these tangible pieces of minting history, and the knowledge that you're preserving and studying artifacts that tell the story of American manufacturing, economy, and culture. Coins like this 1989 error penny become talking points, legendary treasures, and inspirational examples that keep collectors searching, because if it happened once, twice, 3 times, it can happen again.